AskReddit. What's your most unbelievable pics, or it didn't happen moment, whereby you actually have the pics to prove it happened? I was eating lunch in the local park when I heard a rustling sound under the bench I was sat on. Then a squirrel ran out from underneath it carrying a full donut, sat on the grass in front of me, and proceeded to eat the entire thing. Squirrels are just rats with better PR. I got attacked by a seagull in my toilet. This looks like it should be a punk rock album cover. I was drunk and snuck onto a red carpet event with a friend. I was interviewed and pretended I was in the movie, spoke about how I connected with the character. I was never able to find the interview, but here's a pic. I'm the one in a white dress shirt. I was on the boat with my family in Florida and sat on the edge of the boat to take a picture of me with the water, and 2 dolphins and their baby jumped out of the water, and this picture was caught at the perfect time. I have never seen this happen again before, especially in the wild. Pic was fall 2012 in Tampa Bay, Florida, taken by my brother. Picture of me. That better be your first photo on Tinder. I was once woken up on an exam day by strange whirring sounds to find a huge Indian Army hot air balloon landing in front of our house. This was sometime in 2007. I stopped 8 to 10 gangbangers from killing a couple. I mostly used my face to protect the rest of my body. Pics of aftermath, a news article. Edit, because the news article doesn't have much /correct information. I had just got home from a bartending shift and was walking my dog. My neighbors across the street, who were gangbangers, liked to harass anyone Latino looking that walked by. They were drinking, and I happened to walk up when they had a couple surrounded with knives, bats and some other various weapons. I had my bartending flashlight on me and shone it on them, hoping they would run, thinking I was the cops. This ended up being what saved me, because they all threw their weapons as they ran. They quickly realized I wasn't a cop and came back, but the couple had a quick second to get away. I ended up fighting them for quite some time. The police report and my neighbors, girls who thankfully grabbed my sweet golden retriever, said that I lasted for over a minute and was holding my own. Then a cab driver tried to help by running some of them over. That separated me from the group and allowed one of them to pick up a 2x4 and crack me in the back of the head. Luckily a police officer drove by about the time they were dragging my unconscious body up the street and kicking me. When I woke up there was so much blood I thought I was dead and this was the afterlife. I looked up and realized from the expression on the 40 or so onlookers that I was not. Haha. This was the busy downtown area and the bars had just closed, so there were a bunch of people who came to look what was going on and about 10 cop cars and an ambulance. I ended up with a broken eye socket, broken nose, 2 broken hands from fighting for so long, 40 to 50 stitches / staples in face and head. The victim's restitution fine paid all my bills and the stiffest sentence handed out was 1 year, and the guy got out almost a month after because he never posted bail. They only ended up arresting 3 guys. 1 I had knocked out, 1 was bleeding, and they followed the trail to an unlocked parked car and my neighbor who lived in the house across the street. The scariest part was the 4 days they waited to arrest my neighbor. Every time detectives would come over, the gangsters would hang out on their porch and stare at us talking on my porch. There's a news video somewhere I'll try to find. One of the craziest things I have seen at a concert was a guy putting his balls in his mouth. For some reason, I decided it was a good idea to have photographic evidence. NSFW, obviously. Definitely not the most wow thing ever, but I never got a haircut until I was 13 years old. I had 5 feet and 3 inches of hair, right down to my ankles. When you pulled it straight, it's wavy / curly naturally. I cut 3.5 feet off for my first cut. According to Dothraki custom, you were undefeated in battle until you were 13 years old. When I was in 10th grade, my high school friends didn't believe that Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen used to be friends with my twin brother and I. We were labeled as compulsive liars, and it was brought up whenever we would say anything they could perceive as a lie. We found a picture of them at our birthday party that shut them up. Brother posted it to Reddit a few years ago, and it made it to the front page. About 10 years ago, when I was 17/18, I pulled into my driveway at about 2 AM. After being at a party, as I pulled in, I saw a massive brown animal in our driveway. I started freaking out, thinking it was a bear. I live on the outskirts of Birmingham, Alabama, so I don't know how realistic a bear really was, but I digress. I started calling my dad from my cell phone. As he was inside dead asleep, he answers, and I'm crying saying there's a bear in the driveway and I can't get out of my car. He instantly starts asking if I'm drunk or high, and I swear I'm not, but he doesn't believe me. After a few more minutes of me frantically crying and begging him to come outside, he finally agrees. Now, my dad just sleeps in his underwear, tighty whities to be exact, so he comes busting out the front door in his witty tighties and an open robe, with his loaded shotgun in hand. Turns out it wasn't a bear, but a giant dead boar. Apparently someone had killed boars and were dumping them in random yards around the city. I have no idea why we didn't know what to do, so we called the cops, and they came out and requested I take a picture of them with it. It was an old flip phone, so forgive the quality, but hey, at least I have pictures of it. Wish I had a picture of my dad looking like a stereotypical Alabamian, but I didn't snap a pic of him. Found a crashed plane in the woods with no information about it whatsoever. Pieces were scattered over the area of a football field, but the main bits were mostly together. I have more if anyone's interested. Edit. Added more pics. The plane looked like it had been there for years judging by the growth, but also looked very recent judging by the condition of the metal. Reported it, but there was no report of a plane crash in the area. Bodies could have very well been there. Edit 2. Found in northern Alberta. The pics aren't great and don't give a great idea of how big it was or how it looked when it was found. The biggest piece found was the wing in the last pic. It was about 3 feet tall and maybe 20 to 25 feet long. Maybe. The fuselage/cockpit was just behind the camera and was overgrown with what I thought was the cockpit barely sticking out. Faded markings on the wing. Say something like D10. That's not what it said, but something like that. Edit 3. I never got any follow-up information and I know nothing more about it. Gave the information to my superiors and moved on. It was somewhere 100 to 200 km north of Fort Mackay on land, owned by British Petroleum. I never had the exact area and this was 4 years ago, so my memory is only getting fuzzier. To those saying it's an own wreck and has been on Reddit before, please enlighten me. These are my personal pictures and have only ever been posted once before. When I was a young comedian, Robin Williams stopped in to do a surprise set on a show I was hosting. Talked to him for 20 minutes after the show. Then I handed my friend a camera, not a phone, that's how long ago it was, and asked Robin for a picture. He gave me a huge bear hug and said, "How about now? What a sweet guy. Here's a pic." Looked at the picture and thought, that looks like Steve Hofstetter with Robin Williams. Looked at username and realized, that is Steve Hofstetter with Robin Williams. Now I'm nerding out quietly to myself at a bar. I met Muhammad Ali. We were at an event when I was a kid. Muhammad Ali was there doing a boxing demo of some sort. All I knew was there was a big dude beating people up, and I didn't want any part of it. After, we were mingling around, and he comes right at us. I was crying apparently. My mom threw me into his arms and snapped this pic. I was once attacked by a guy on drugs who was dressed in a karate outfit and was wielding 2 swords. In the end I fought him off with my skateboard. Really wish I had more pictures. This one was taken from a few stories up across the street where there was a loft apartment building. The yelling and commotion woke most of the residents. The photographer recognized me in a bar a few weeks later and emailed me the picture. An owl flew into my car once in Las Vegas while the car was moving with the windows open. Edit. Here's another pic of him looking pissed. I spent a solid 3 hours figuring out how to get this out of my car. I've never seen an owl in person and never dealt with one, so I didn't know if they carry disease or attack or something. About 7 people stopped asking if I needed help. When I told them an owl flew in my car, most of them drove off, probably thinking I was running a scam or something. My brother ended up coming by with a show box and we got it out and it took off. I was afraid he was injured because he flew into my car from the driver's side, hit the passenger window which was closed, and then flew into the back. He seemed okay though.